Okay, calling to order the board in our scheduled finance meeting on March 26th, 2025 at 1 o'clock. We have Commissioner Nichols here and myself, Commissioner Minty. Commissioner DeGroot is out today, and we have several items on our agenda, so we will, we'll jump right in. But why don't we start with, did you want to start with, Vicki, the budget committee, or do you want to do
I
Tom?
wanted to just get his
Okay.
done.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Good.
Thanks. Perfect. Minutes will stand approved. Okay. Mr. Christ?
Yeah, it looks like a big deal, but it's the MAG, just to apply for the MAG agreement with the Oregon State Marine Board. And that's just the application.
Normal, yeah.
I mean, you know the drill. You guys have been doing it, so.
I will move that the board approve and authorize the Solid Waste Parks Manager to apply for and sign the application documents to the Oregon State Marine Board Maintenance Assistance Grant, otherwise known as MAG, for fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27.
Second.
Right, we have a motion for consideration. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. We'll vote then. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Thanks, Tom. Okay. Now I think we want to do budget committee, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Come on up,
That's the way
budget
we like
committee.
it.
This is a totally new iteration of the budget committee. That's so exciting. And you are like practically on staff these days with all the work you're doing, so.
I know, I was
We should-
emailing her all
I
morning.
know, I was like, we should probably, we probably need to
Give me
start
that
paying her or
address,
something,
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, I'll sign up for that, that's fine.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm really excited about having the budget starting soon. It's one of my favorite times of the year.
Is she being sarcastic? I'm like, I don't know how to take this.
It's one of my favorite things. So I'd like to call the budget committee meeting to order. We are going to elect officers. We need a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. The chair will run the meetings, open and close sessions, or, different district meetings, move us along if we need to be moved along, that kind of thing. The vice chair takes the place of the chair in the absence of the chair, and the secretary basically doesn't do much. The minutes are done by Board of County Commissioner staff, so it's just a formality to have a secretary. So,
Do you all know each other? Should we do introductions? Or did you meet each other?
Not really.
Not really.
Let's do it.
I'm
Let's do
Will,
introductions.
So,
Okay.
Linda Tepper.
Okay, perfect.
Ashley Trishelle.
So Linda has served before, and then you two.
And
are
I don't know you,
noodles.
Linda.
Oh,
I know
sorry.
everybody else, but I'm Andy.
My day job is the business manager for the airport administration office. I'm the city employee.
Okay.
So this is my fun little activity I do on the side. This is my third year on the budget. I missed last year because my husband decided to vacation at Sky Lakes for a week. So
Lovely.
right, and he needs to do everything. So
And I don't think she's being sarcastic. I think she actually does view this as fun. She's like that. So
So anybody, I would think maybe Linda, you might volunteer to be the chair.
I can, unless somebody's just super dying to get started in on it. But
Since you're on the procedures.
maybe I remember. Yeah. So,
we'll help you with whoever. We'll help.
Somebody want to nominate?
I will nominate Linda to be the chair of the budget committee.
Second, so we have for our consideration the nomination of Linda Tepper as the chair of the budget committee this year. Unless there's discussion, all in favor signify with an aye, please.
Aye, please.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. All right, and vice chair, anyone? You made secretary sound so great by saying they don't have
I
to
know,
do
now
anything.
we got-
I'm like, who wouldn't want to be the
Vice chair
secretary?
and secretary sound like the place to be.
Yeah.
I'll nominate Will Oxley for vice chair of the budget committee.
I'll second. So we have a motion for consideration. Does that work with you?
actually.
That's
Good with that.
perfect. Okay.
You're not like the last chosen. We still like you.
I'm okay being last, that's all right.
All right, we have a motion for consideration for Will to serve as the vice chair. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Oh, did everyone vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion
I'll
passes.
Nominate Ashley to be the secretary of the budget.
Second, you're really catching on good, new guy. You're doing good. So we have a motion for consideration for Ashley to serve as the secretary. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. All right. Discussion of the operations of the committee. This is you, Vicky. You said things like the difference between recessing and adjourning and
Yes.
such.
Okay, so is there any way you can get rid of that box?
Yeah, we're trying to
Oh, okay. We have 4 districts in the county that will present their budgets during the county budget hearing. So when we get to a public hearing for drainage, you'll recess the county budget hearing and you'll open the drainage service district budget hearing. And then you will adjourn that if we're done. If you decide to adopt their budget during that budget hearing, that's usually what we do, unless there's something major that needs to be changed. But if not, then we'll sign the documents and everything while that hearing's going on and then adjourn it. And you'll, until the very end, when we adopt the county budget, you'll keep recessing that budget. You won't adjourn it until we actually are finished all the way. So right now we're scheduled all day Monday and most of the day Tuesday. I advertised it to go possibly through Wednesday if there's a lot of deliberating. So we don't anticipate we'll need Thursday and Friday, but you never know. And then if we have a lot of changes, it's possible that we might have to adjourn or recess long enough for me to get everything changed in the system and all the numbers right and everything like that. It might even be a week later. Maybe we might have to come back for half an hour or something.
do
I hope that, yeah. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but it's happened once before.
Yeah.
So,
So you think there's a pretty good chance it'll take most of the day that Wednesday?
I don't know.
Hard to say.
It's hard to say. Maybe half day Wednesday.
If you want some fun historical context, my very first year I was on the budget committee before I was a commissioner, and I think we went, and this is before Vicky's time, we went for like 3 weeks. So we have fixed the process a lot, and a lot of that is Vicky has streamlined. So yeah, and I say 3 weeks. I think it was actually 3.5, but it was like of every day. So yay for Vicky for getting it down to like 3 days.
And not committee, but yeah, people from the community would come and request.
Yeah, it was
Money.
really bad process. So 3 days
Um,
seems like a dream.
That seems better than 3 weeks. Yes.
Today we can't really talk specifically about the budget numbers. We're not supposed to do that until we have an actual meeting advertised and we'll receive public comment. We can just talk about kind of the procedures that we do. Lunchtime is kind of on your own. You can do whatever you want. We usually have about an hour for lunch. And as far as budget documents go, I can provide paper, or you guys can bring your own laptops. We can provide you with laptops, so you can view the budget on your laptop. There's a little bit of the 2 weeks before the actual budget hearing. So after April 8th, the budget book will be available for you to look at. And I'll also, if you want the budget on paper, just the reports themselves, I can have these for you to take home 2 weeks before the hearings start if you want to go through the budget. These reports out of our system will show the 23 actual expenditures, the 24 actual expenditures, the 25 budget we're working in right now, and the proposed budget for 26 that you'll be voting on
For each of the 4 districts, or are they
for the
broken down?
county and the 4 districts. Everything. I'll have the binder has the schedule on it, and then I break it down by each day so that you can see which department it is that you're looking at and that kind of thing. And I'll show you, as soon as we can see the computer too, I'll show you the software.
And the screen will still show, but on our end, it's still have this right here, we're working on it in the system. Apologize.
That's okay. We can, I don't know if you can see behind this. There's our software is ClearGov, and I was going to send everybody to your email addresses that I have an invitation to join ClearGov, and you'll have the ability to look at all of the departments and how much money they'll be requesting. Maybe. This is the total budgeted expenses and revenues, but that includes that's everything. That's all the transfers. It includes all of the districts. The county budget's $222 million. And then this is just a snapshot of the general fund, treasurer, clerk, everybody in the general fund, and all the departments within the county, plus the districts. And then if you want to drill in, you go to this other tab called the worksheet, and then you can, I can't see. You can drill into the different funds over here. So if you want to look at the sheriff's office, they're in the general fund. You just keep opening all these side carrots. Here's general fund or sheriff administration, patrol, the jail, civil, and you can drill down into these to see the revenues and the expenses. And let's see. This is the proposed budget right here. It's hard to see on the screen, but the permissions that I'll be sending you in your email, if you go into this system, you can just look around. You can't hurt anything. You're just going to have viewing privileges. So just try to get used to looking at the different departments and what they're budgeting for revenues and expenditures. And then email me or call me, and I can walk you through how to set it up so that it's easy to understand. If that would be helpful. And then on your agenda, I've prepared a little memo to talk a little bit about what we've done so far on the budget and kind of the crunch we're in the general fund. So public comment, we have to take public comment at the beginning of each day to hear from any citizens that want to talk to us about the budget. The department heads will come in and present. Most of them have 10 to 15 minutes. They're basically just going to explain what the changes are that they've done compared to last year, and then answer any questions you might have of them. And then I've explained here the LATCF fund. That's actually a general fund reserve that we've had for a few years now, and the secure rural schools money that's in the road department that we can use for sheriff patrols. I've explained how much this proposed budget has of that money in the sheriff's budget. And then on the second page, I've done a kind of a chart of each general fund department and the amount of support that the general fund's giving those departments and the comparison to the current year, whether it's they've been able to cut expenses, whether they had to remain flat to provide the services that are required, or whether there's an increase. And then I tried to give a detailed explanation of how they did it right underneath the chart. So there's a little bit of background for the general fund and how people arrived at their proposed budgets. One of the things that you'll hear probably in the hearings is our reserves and how much we're spending, and the fact that we're spending them down so far that we're not going to have a lot left at all next year. So that's going to be one thing that's discussed heavily, how to fund general fund departments. Reserves, most of our reserves can't be used for general fund activities. They're for specific purposes. So I think that's going to be something that you'll see in the budget message, which will be in the budget book, and how things are budgeted in the general fund. A lot of people made a lot of they're not filling positions. You know, they might have a vacancy and they're not filling it to save money. They're trying to do the same service with less funds in this budget. Do you guys have any comments?
Any other thoughts, comments? Anything
Thank
anyone
you,
wants to share?
all three of you, for your service to the community,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
you know, I don't know if you're a masochist and like the torture or what, but thank you.
And we do have an alternate this year. I don't know that we had one last year, but we do have an alternate this year. She's not here today, she couldn't make it, but I'll be meeting with her tomorrow to go over this stuff. Her name's Ruth Ann Strom. And so just remember that if something should come up and this isn't gonna work out. And do you want to bring your own laptops, or do you want me to supply you with a laptop?
I can bring my own, but I do like paper, so if I could
Okay.
look at the book
Sure.
ahead of time too.
Yeah,
I like to make
I have
notes.
one.
And do you want paper?
Yeah, I'd like to look at those reports.
Okay. I'll have those done probably in the next, by the 8th, those will be
It
finished.
sound like they might be a little easier to look at paper. or-
They will be at first.
You should just email when they're ready.
Yes, and then I'll just have them in my office, and you can just come in and get them off my table. I'll be gone for a few days next month, beginning of next month.
So did you two say you were gonna bring your laptops?
Mhm.
Is that-
Yeah,
So maybe come that first day, I don't know, we usually start at 8:30
We
or
start
something.
at 9,
Or
so
9.
maybe come at 8:30, make sure that we
That
can
way
get it set
IT
up.
can,
get
make
logged
sure you're,
on.
yeah. We'll have IT there to make sure that everything goes smooth.
Is it easier just to have IT provide laptops?
It really doesn't matter, I don't think.
It's your comfort. We could, IT will do laptops for us. So,
You can think about it, just send me an email, and I can let them know if you decide to have one, use one of ours. That way you don't have to pack it back and forth too.
I guess maybe I would just share with you two, since you're new to this, just please don't feel like it's embarrassing to ask questions or like, oh, I should already, well, and you too, it's your first year through it. Like, it's not, I don't want to say it's a complicated budget, it's a big budget. And so if you have questions, just ask. I mean, I still ask questions all the time. This is literally my year 12. Not exaggerating. So, I mean, just don't feel embarrassed to ask questions. Nobody's going to think, you know, what's he doing here? He has so many questions.
And there's so many rules.
Yeah,
There's so many rules of you can't use or you can use or you, we've got the sheriff's department, for example, because they're our biggest department. They have 5 sub-departments in the general fund, and then they have a special revenue fund that has 4 sub-departments in it. So it's looking through these, it doesn't just jump out at you. This is the sheriff's special revenue search and rescue fund. It's a little complicated to get used to. So.
We've tried to make it more intuitive and user-friendly over the years, but then there's some things that just don't make sense. Taylor Grazing Fund. Anything else?
Okay.
Thanks, Budget
We
Committee.
will see you 8:30ish on the 21st of April.
Sounds good. And we'll make sure we're brewing coffee and tea and stuff back there. So
Yeah, and
you'll need it.
I'll be in touch before then to get you these books and make sure you know how to log into ClearGov and kind of navigate a little bit. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Like your hat.
Thank you.
I know, I see all this. This is like subliminal,
Oh, it's the same
advertising.
color. I thought you filled out with one for you.
He's not even subliminal about it. He's just like,
Those our new ones are black and white. They look just like that. See you guys.
bye. Okay, Vicki, the next thing I have on our agenda is that part-time land surveyor. Looks like it just had an incorrect title when we did it in the budget workshop.
Here it is. This had you did approve this in the budget workshops. However, the title said land surveyor 1 instead of an aide, and so we just wanted to correct that. It's kind of a big difference, I guess. Just got it.
I'll motion the board hereby approve the request to move the part-time land surveyor aide 1 to full-time land surveyor aide 1 upon graduation.
Second, so we have a motion for consideration. Unless we need discussion, I will ask for our vote. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Spence Mountain Fund Sub-Department under Parks or a new fund on its own? Vicki.
So this came about based on the fact that Jeremy Morris is now leading the Spence Mountain group to get some of the work done. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to move the money, if what I was supposed to do about funding. So knowing that Public Works is a restricted fund and we can't use road funds for the Spence Mountain, and when you made that distinction for Jeremy to start being over that project, you said it was temporary, and so that made it even less clear to me what I was to do with the funding. So right now we have the Parks Department spending money from tourism for the assessments and the maintenance. But Jeremy can't spend money out of the Parks Department. So the question I had was, should I set up a whole separate special revenue fund for Spence Mountain, or should I leave it under Parks? Jeremy is thinking that it will stay under him regardless of what happens in the future. So that makes me think maybe it should have its own special revenue fund. I hate opening new funds. We have so many already. That's just one thing I hate doing, but I understand that Spence Mountain is kind of its own animal. It doesn't fit under the parks revenue that we have because that's related to boat ramps and water.
So this
I'm not
is,
sure.
I think this is good for discussion. I feel pretty strongly that I would like it to stay under Parks, and the reasoning is because, sort of my future hope is that we actually work toward like a a small parks department. So, we all know that we have sort of little pieces here and there, a little bit Tom Christ, a little bit Stephanie, and my hope, and especially as I sit with other stakeholders and partners and talk about the possibility of recreation district and all these things, and recreation was one of the pillars in our strategic plan. I really would like a true sort of parks department at some point, which, I mean, to me then, Spence Mountain is kind of the flagship. I understand I definitely think this is important discussion, and I understand the concerns. I had a very different view on the Jeremy Public Works piece of it. My understanding was he wanted to serve as the volunteer, like in the volunteer role on the committee, which, cool. And then also, like, for now, we can sort of tentatively have it under, I think you brought up having it tagged under Public Works, but to me that is kind of temporary. I don't envision it something that it's really part of his job responsibility to be like in charge of Spence in the future, is my thought. I am only one of three, so.
I agree with you. Temporary is very subjective. Temporary could be 2 months, it could be 5 years, right? And I agree the long-term solution is Parks Rec District. My question, I guess, Vicky, would be, how complicated does that make it? I mean, this is completely ballparking, fake number, I don't know. Say it's there 24 months, with Public Works kind of being the home of it. How complicated of processes for paying bills and funding is that?
Well,
Under the current,
we would have to
without the separate fund?
we would have to set up a separate fund.
Okay.
If, well, we don't. We could set up a sub-department within parks and just have Spence's revenues and expenses, because they're getting a grant too, so we want to have a place to put the grant money. But the only people that have encumbrance ability, or that are designated to encumber funds in that department, or that fund, the parks fund, is Stephanie and Tom and myself and Kirby. So Jeremy doesn't have the authority to spend money out of there unless we give it to him through the budget process. We can do that. To set up a separate fund as a special revenue, it would be a new fund. It would have to go through a resolution process to the board to say, yes, we need this new fund and this is what it's for. And then it's just a matter of running it through the budget process. And when is the new grant supposed to be received? Do you know?
I don't know offhand. I'd have to ask Dawn.
I think it's this fiscal year though, so we would want to do it before we adopt in 26.
So if I agree with you, and it needs its own home, but that's down the road. I'm just thinking, for ease of process-wise, would it be easier to set up a separate fund until we get to that point? Because it's not hard to close out a fund, right?
Yeah, it is. You
Oh,
have
it
to
is.
keep
I'm
it.
sorry.
It has to
No,
stay on the
It has
books
to stay on the
forever.
books because you have history.
Forever.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to keep the history for so long. I mean, forever's a long
Well,
time.
might it be,
Fair.
I get where you're going with that. I mean, maybe it is actually easier to just authorize Jeremy to be I mean,
A
how much
signer in
money
parks.
comes, I just don't foresee him needing to make a lot of budget decisions about Spence Mountain.
No,
Well-
but paying the bills, like, for cleaning out the sewage.
Mhm.
Stephanie does that now. She does that now, and I don't know.
I guess maybe we're overcomplicating it a little. I mean, maybe this is one idea. Leave it under Parks where it is now. I think it should be its own thing though, under Parks, like sub-department. Stephanie can continue paying the bills on it. I think one of the big concerns was there was never really any money set aside for it, but we did finally do that. So that kind of takes one big thing off of everyone's plate. I think that was part of, I don't want to speak for Stephanie and Tom, but I think that was always sort of part of their concern is like, we're responsible for Spence, but Spence doesn't really have any money. But now we did that and there's a grant. I think it's great that Jeremy wants to be the volunteer county person on it. And I'm sure if something comes up through the committee where they need something paid or an expense, I mean, we could just have Vicky and Stephanie do it. But I mean, Jeremy's not going to be the bill payer anyway, probably. It would be someone in Public Works.
How long before we need to make this decision?
Probably in the next month or so, we can table it.
What if we got Stephanie and Jeremy here and then have a discussion with everybody?
Sure.
Because I mean, I can make a decision right now, but I just want,
Yeah.
I guess,
Sounds good.
all opinions out there.
Sure. Okay. Is that good, Vic? We'll just
Mm-hmm.
push it to the next finance meeting, or we can do it in an admin if you need it sooner than that.
Okay, sounds good.
KCSO Sigma Tactical Wellness Proposal.
So you've seen this one before. This came through a sergeant or a sheriff's office employee, and I'm bringing it back for a vote on whether to go forward with spending the opioid settlement funds for up to 100 employees for the Sigma Tactical Wellness Program.
If I recall, we liked this idea. We wanted to help out the sheriff's department. Is there anything, you as their liaison, any changes to your thinking or?
No, I'm in support of this conceptually. I like the idea. I've talked with others about it. So one of the questions that was brought up with this was, can they do this through their primary care and their
I think I
insurance?
asked that.
And yes, anybody could do that. This streamlines everything. For a law enforcement officer that's doing shift work, on getting them to the doctor is hard enough when they should be going, and that's the reason these different types of entities have come about. It's kind of a one-stop shop where they can go in, get evaluated, and get all these tests done without going to their doctor and getting a referral for this, waiting 2 weeks for insurance, getting a referral. Something that would be a 6 or 8 month long project that is one of the least of their concerns. It should be, but a priority, but it's not because they're focused on the community. This streamlines it, puts it all in a package for them, and gives them access to doing this easier. I like the idea. I think it's an investment in our people and their health and their future. It's very well known in the law enforcement community that cardiovascular problems are an issue. You sit in your rear all day in a vehicle and you stop and eat not the greatest food because you're call to call, and as stressed and short-handed as our deputies are, I think it makes it even a greater need for them. I am in support of this. My question would be just regarding the funding and the opioid dollars. Where are we at with it? Does this take away from something that could be a greater project? I don't know.
So far, we have over 300,000 just waiting to be used, and I don't think we have any solid plan for the opioid money as it comes in. We're looking for different ways that we can.
Is there?
Public health, I think, has some ideas, but I don't.
I was also going to ask juvenile. Do they?
Yeah, we used some of the opioid settlement money for the match for the big construction project, and
1.2 million.
Well, I support this, and Sergeant Duvall was the lead on this from the sheriff's office, and I give her all kinds of props and credits for doing the research, and Haley for putting it together, and I support it.
okay. So it sounds like by consensus, let's move forward.
Okay, we don't have to.
Or do you want it in a motion?
Well, they're going to request 2 other quotes other than this one company.
Yeah.
to make sure we're doing it competitively.
Sure.
So what, and who's gonna do that? Do we know? Who's gonna go get the other quotes? Cause I have an idea.
Haley and Shasta were working on
Okay.
that piece of it.
Okay. there's a local entity that I would be interested if they asked them, hey, can you do this? What they would say.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
I'd be all about that as well.
Okay, Vicki, we have funding requests, Klamath Idea and Badger.
Okay, the first one is from Klamath Idea. They have requested consideration for operational funding at $15,000, same amount from the prior fiscal year, and you should have a letter explaining some of their accomplishments and what 25-26 will focus on.
For some sort of situational and background awareness, Commissioner Nichols, we've done this at this level several years, I believe. I mean, we've supported ideas several years, and I think it's been at this level for a while. So they had, I think I'm tagged as their liaison right now, and they had initially actually wanted to come in with a larger request, and then they were mindful of what we were talking about in the budget process and asked my opinion on that. And my recommendation to them was that they didn't come with an increased request, so I think it's appropriate that they.
What was past requests?
15,000.
Okay.
And they are paid for from the Economic Development Fund, which is video lottery money. We do have 15,000 in our proposed budget for this, if that makes a difference to you.
The only thought that popped up right in my head, and this is early on when I started, I believe it was Catalyze or one of those came at us with the same ask, and we had funded it like that before, but we had reduced them to, I think, 5,000.
It wasn't actually, it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
actually a reduction. They just asked for quite a bit more.
They asked for more,
Yeah.
and then we went
Yeah.
down on it.
And
Okay.
so this one, they're asking for what they've got. The
What
last.
they've got in the past. Okay. I don't want to vote on it today. I want to read this
Okay.
and I want to talk.
Okay.
But I generally support it.
I don't know as if this is super time sensitive, Vicki. Do you
If
want to
it-
just do this one? Well, I guess it's in
Next
the
month
budget.
is fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then the second funding request we have is the Badger Venture support for 2,500. It's very similar to Catalyze Klamath that OIT puts on. It's a similar program with Klamath Community College.
What's their ask?
2,500,
And
which I believe we've done this now for 3 or 4 years.
It's something in that ballpark.
And we did put it in the proposed budget as well out of economic development, in case this is something that continues.
I'll say the same thing with this. I support it generally. I want to read and digest if we can put it on the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll support it.
Okay, sounds good. And then last we have capital asset policy.
Okay, so I brought the draft capital asset policy. It's an administrative policy, the first one that I drafted, that I plan to have a larger bunch of policies, pretty much around finance for me, but other departments and general admin can adopt some administrative policies. The last time I brought this to the board, you had asked me to make sure that the departments had all seen it and make sure they didn't have any changes or comments, and I did not receive any. I put this out there a couple of months ago for people to read and look at. So I'm to the point where I'd like the board to adopt this policy if possible, and then I'll move on to the next one.
Kudos for tackling, policy updates and changes. It's very easy to get lost in like the day-to-day, or not lost, but focused on the day-to-day. And so good job to
Thanks.
be being proactive on this.
Well, I'll make a motion, the board hereby approve the capital asset policy prepared by the finance director, Vicky Long.
Second. So we have a motion for our consideration. Do we have any comments additionally before we vote? All right.
Thank you.
If you agree, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. And it looks like that concludes our agenda. Unless there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'll adjourn us at 1:41. Good job, Vicky and Kirby.
Thank you.